Here's Kyle Shanahan, the Niners head coach. This is after the Super Bowl, being asked about taking the ball in overtime.
What goes into the decision to take the ball first there?
You know, none of us have a ton of experience of it, but we went through all the analytics and talked with those guys, and we just thought it'd be better. We wanted the ball third. If both teams matched and scored, we wanted to be the ones who had the chance to go win, and we got that field goal, so we knew we had to hold them to at least to a field goal, and if we did, then we thought it was in our hands after that.
Okay, so you're going to be aggressive, and the only thing I thought was you want the ball. Why not go for it on fourth down? If you're worried about Mahomes getting the ball and going down to score a touchdown, then why did the Niners not go for it on third down and I think 4? They ended up kicking the field goal. So now if Mahomes goes down and scores a touchdown, then they win the game. That was the only thing I didn't understand. If you're going to take the ball and be aggressive, then be aggressive the whole time. Because if you're worried about Mahomes, and now you can say, well, if you don't don't get a touchdown, then Mahomes only has to kick a field goal. But if you're going to be aggressive, then be aggressive because you're concerned that Mahomes is going to come down and score. Yes, Eden.
Well, I think Kyle Shanahan had said that they were okay trading field goals. They're like, all things equal, we trade field goals and then we get them on the third possession.
Yeah.
But it feels slightly flawed in being like, yeah, but you have to make sure you get to the third possession.
Yes.
Which is tricky.
Now, the Niners, I think, should be in a must-lie situation, but they haven't been. They've been telling you that basically they weren't quite sure of what the overtime rules were. Our Kyle Juszczyk, Niners fullback.
You know what? I didn't even realize that the playoff rules were different in overtime, so I assumed you just want the ball because you score a touchdown and win, but I guess that's not the case. So I don't totally know the strategy there.
Okay. Kyle Juszczyk went to Harvard, didn't he? Right? I think so. You should know. I would have thought that you would have probably had scenarios here, just in case. Yes, Mark.
Wait, so because he went to Harvard, he should know everything about everything? What about the guy that went to Manchester Community College?
Right.
Okay.
If he plays on the team, all of you should know.
Right.
Well, Kyle Juszczyk might be a little more curious. Maybe. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he went to Harvard, that he would be like,
if you play in the NFL, I'm going to need everyone to be on the same page.
Yes, Todd.
Or you could say, isn't he smart enough to know not to admit publicly into the world?
That, bloop. Yes.
Because the guy who went to Manchester would have been smart enough to do that.
Yeah, because he was street smart. He would be like, yeah, man, I'm not going to tell you anything.
Like, hey, look, guys, all right, it's the coach's decision, okay? I'm just going to put it all on him. It's the coach's decision, okay? He made the call.
But the Chiefs were aware. They knew what the rules were. Chris Jones told reporters the team had a different approach in terms of pregame communication about the new rules and strategy. Chris Jones said, we talked for 2 weeks about the new overtime rules. And he said, give the ball to the opponent, and if we score, we go for 2. So if the Niners had scored a touchdown, Kansas City, if they had scored a touchdown, they were going for 2. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
So you go 8 for 8 on that game-winning touchdown drive. What was the plan if the Niners opened overtime with a touchdown and then you guys answered with a touchdown? Would they have had a third possession? What were you guys going to do?
No, we were going for 2. I don't know if Coach Reed wants me telling everybody, but we would have went for 2 for sure.
Okay, so they had a plan. They had a strategy. And this might lead to a bigger picture of how prepared were you. Now, maybe it's not fair to the situation, but that's what we're talking about. Your players didn't know about overtime. That, to me, is what stands out and is pretty alarming there. Yes, Marv.
See, that's the difference between the 49ers and the Chiefs. The Chiefs stay ready. The 49ers were getting ready.
Yeah.
You never have to get ready if you stay ready. These guys were ready for the moment.
Yeah.
And the 49ers, I don't know if I was, I went to Harvard, Brown, Yale,
Yeah. I was wondering if you're going to be aggressive, then how aggressive you're going to be. You want the ball, so you're going to kick a field goal, and now your defense has played pretty well. The fact that you're going into overtime and you've held Mahomes to 19 points, and you got a gift with that, the muffed punt that allowed you with a short field. You had a great night with your field goal kicker. I understand all of those things, but if you're saying in a big moment, Brock Purdy or Patrick Mahomes, we're all taking Patrick Mahomes. Brock Purdy played a pretty good game. Patrick Mahomes was the MVP. And that's the only thing. If I'm going to be aggressive, I have to be aggressive to put pressure on Mahomes. A field goal, I don't think that puts pressure on him. You got a kicker who could kick it from 60 yards and has been in those big moments there. That was what I was curious about in the moment. It's like, okay, are you going for it? Or you just sort of, well, we'll kick a field goal. I don't think that put pressure on Patrick Mahomes. If anything, it's like, oh, we get a touchdown, we win. Did you see? I mean, we all saw it. The clock is running. They had a strategy. It's like, all right, this is going to happen, then we're going to do this, and then, hey, this will be our play. I mean, that was the feeling I had, that they already knew what they were going to do. And they executed that. I truly believe that. Watching the second half, the way those plays were called, and I kept thinking, if I'm a Kansas City Chief, they're not going to give it to McCaffrey. I'm good with that. Chris Jones, you could have made a case that he was the MVP. If you talk about impactful plays, Chris Jones made like 3 impactful plays, including maybe the biggest play of the game. Unblocked. How does that happen? Their best defensive player. Don't you go up to the line of scrimmage and go, all right, where's Snead's there? Jones is there. Okay, got to make sure we got 2 guys on Jones here. That's all. Anybody but him. I don't care who else. If somebody else makes a play, great. Not him. It's like when the Bengals played the Rams. Who's the one guy they have to worry about with that final play? Aaron Donald. And what happened? Aaron Donald gets the sack. Yes, Eden.
And the thing about putting the ball in Brock Purdy's hands and sort of forcing him to win the game and get the MVP is that ultimately, at like the core root of it, it's confirmation that my system is great.
Yes, this would be
confirmation that I am a genius because I can take Mr. Irrelevant and turn him into a Super Bowl MVP in 2 years.
I think it's a fair assessment of the situation. I do. I think ego got involved here a little bit because Kyle Shanahan's hearing this. Brock Purdy's hearing this. And they're like, you know what? Let's go out there and we're going to throw the ball. Okay. I thought Kansas City did a pretty good job. They shut down Kittle. Debo had a lot of targets. I don't know how healthy he was. Taking Ayuk out of the game plan there. Yes, Mark.
To go back to the Atlanta Super Bowl against the Patriots, Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman were running wild on the Patriots. Yeah. And before that big play where it ended with Hightower sacking Matt Ryan, Tevin Coleman had a big, maybe 40-yard run, either him or Freeman, whoever. They had a big 40-yard run. And then it's like, oh, let's go away from what's been working the entire time.
Because if I look at this from Kansas City's perspective, and I'm Patrick Mahomes, I got to put up big numbers. I got to throw the ball. I got to show him that I'm still Patrick Mahomes. This season, he was more like Brady from the standpoint of, I got to do just enough because that defense is really good. And he did that. Like you suppress your ego and you're like, all right, what do we need to do? You want me 3rd and 1? I'll run it. You need to play here? All right, I can come up with that. And I don't think it was about, hey, let me show people again, remind them just how great I am. I think he was great when he needed to be great. And it felt like Kansas City was going to say, hey, Brock Purdy's elite. If he had won the Super Bowl, we would probably be saying, all right, he's in the top 10 quarterbacks now or top 5. It didn't work out that way. And I think ego played a little bit of a role in his play calling in that Atlanta lost to the Patriots. You had Matt Ryan, MVP, and Matt Ryan's throwing passes. And all you had to do was take a knee and another knee and another knee, kick a field goal, and you win the game. You win the Super Bowl.